Well, it must be that time of year. Oh, I'm feeling that pull again. Oh, back to where the trees grow tall and ain't a sound for miles around, except for the distant call of that lonely coyote's howl. Whoa, life's mysteries unravel when my tires hit that gravel and I leave the paved road far behind. Oh, and every breath I breathe is one step closer to me. Oh, easing my worried mind. We're way back in the sticks is where I feel alive. In my rusty old 66 that won't even go 55. When nothing can compare to the joy that I found. Oh, every time I go back there, oh, to my own spiritual ground. Oh, life's mysteries unravel when my tires hit that gravel and I leave the paved road far behind. Whoa, and every breath I breathe is one step closer to me. Oh, easing my worried mind. I'll make a quarter sweet corn whiskey from 10 gallons of sour mash, and I'll turn a pile of firewood into a pile of sky gray ash. And if there's anything left inside me that remember what it's like to feel, oh, that cold rain falling on the top of my head and the mud beneath my heel. Oh, life's mysteries unravel when my tires hit that gravel and I leave the paved road far behind. Oh, and every breath I breathe is one step closer to me. Oh, easing my worried mind. Oh, and every breath I breathe is one step closer to me. Oh, easing my worried mind.
Friends.
Whoa. Well, midnight rang out like a bell, and my heart sung like a shield. Deliver me from this hell before I sleep. Well, my lungs can no longer breathe, and my legs can no longer run. And the only thing I need's for this day to be done. Well, the bluebird can sing, but the crow's got the soul. And I'm a dog among kings with no self-control. And the only thing left to try to live, sins on my back no one could forgive.
Hey everyone, good morning. Welcome to Slow News Day Live Morning Edition. My name is Steve Poikinen. I am here in the middle of nowhere in damp, cloudy Humboldt County. I hope that at least the audio is coming through good. Not entirely sure about the video quality of the stream this morning. That's a constant work in progress. Got a lot to talk about this morning. Kyrie Irving got himself in a bunch of hot water. Mint Press News has uncovered the Gate story that the independent media and the corporate media should have been talking about the entire time Donald Trump was in the White House in terms of undue influence by a foreign country, in this case, the United Arab Emirates, and the cabal of brutal theocratic dictatorships the U.S. supports in the Mideast so that we can maintain our hegemony in the region and the security of the nation of Israel. It's a pretty fucked up article. It's out in Mint Press. We're going to go through it here in a moment. Lots of other stuff to talk about, including this idea of a national divorce. This is something that's been gaining traction for a number of months now. Well, let's be a little bit more thorough. I mean, the conversation about secession and splitting the country, even splitting California into 6 different states. All of these things have been discussed, but not to the point to where we're hearing members of the federal Congress discuss it, as Marjorie Taylor Greene has. Rand Paul kind of seems to be sniffing around at. Rand Paul has a video out right now where he's standing there saying they can't arrest us all and you need to resist this, and all kinds of things. Now, I get that Rand Paul himself is probably not going to put himself in the situation to where he's ever going to get arrested. So it's a little fucked up that he's telling his constituents and the people that actually listen to him and think he's, for real, that he's telling them to do that without being willing to do it himself. But that's where we're at right now. And it's incredibly interesting that, that this is now a part of the conversation. There is an article out in Raw Story magazine, one of the more progressive, I guess, publications that that still dance around in that mainstream. They have a lot of overlap with just shit liberty, and then this new woke monstrosity that seems to be uber prevalent in society right now. I'm going to go ahead and pull this article up because it's fucking wild. The author, this is some of the more hyperbolic weirdness that I've seen in a minute. Shouts to Michael Malice for retweeting this and putting it on my radar. The title is called A New Confederacy. Trump and the Republicans have already seceded. Already. You know which ones they are. 19 states have enacted 33 laws that make it harder for people to vote, according to the Brennan Center for Justice. If that's named after John Brennan, there couldn't be a more ironically named Center for Justice. Well, the Kissinger Center for Justice. 15 states made it harder to apply for mail-in ballot. Mail-in voting is fucked. 4 states limited mail-in ballot drop boxes. 4 states imposed stricter mail-in ballot signature requirements. Good, because we've got untrained, untested AI verifying signatures in a number of fucking cities. 8 states imposed harder voter ID requirements. Meh. 7 states made it easier to purge votes from the rolls. 3 states reduced the number of polling places and voting hours. 3 more states reduced the number of days or hours of early voting. 5 states made it harder for people with disabilities. And 2 states made it a crime to hand out water or snacks to voters waiting in long lines to vote. Let's see. This is all what red states have done in terms of abortion laws, with a significant focus on Texas. All of the states that refused Medicaid expansion have passed restrictions on voting and abortion and are controlled by the Republican Party. Many of those same states have also passed bans on mask and vaccine mandates. And nearly all of them have endured more cases per capita of COVID-19, more hospitalizations and deaths, in effect, without any states yet seceding from the Union. We already live in 2 Americas. I would argue that there have been multiple Americas since inception. I would argue that under a system where only people who held significant tracts of land and were males could vote was by design exclusionary and by design to create a tiered system. I don't know. This is where it gets like batshit, though. One of those countries within a country, in the words of the esteemed lawyer and Harvard professor Lawrence Tribe, has no set of constraints, no belief in norms, no commitment to the Constitution or rule of law, all while the other side is trying to observe the rules, he said Wednesday night on MSNBC on All In and Chris Hayes, with Chris Hayes, my old boss, while discussing the challenges we face in 2022 and 2024 elections. So the Democrats are framing on cable TV, they're framing the entirety of, I guess, red state America, or the Republican Party, as having no commitment to the Constitution or rule of law, no belief in norms, and no set of constraints, where these are the people who are going, according to the Constitution, it says you can't do X, Y, Z. And the Democrats are the people going, we could do X, Y, Z, and a whole bunch of numbers and letters that don't even exist in Western thought. We can do all of those things, and we can do them with unlimited money. Donald Trump felt much the same way, by the way, when he printed 2/3 of all money into existence during his 4 years in the White House. I don't want anybody to get the idea that I am in favor of a national divorce based on red state, blue state, or red team, blue team divisions. I think that's retarded. Even the subject of that show seems quaint at this point, because I don't think we are able to hold what we have always thought of as elections in this country anymore. Politics in the United States were a basketball game. This is fucking hilarious, by the way. If politics in the United States were a basketball game, I think she says the rules of the game, along with the fouls and penalties, would apply to one team, the Democrats, not to the other, the Republicans. This is somebody who is trying extra hard to get you to never look at the Republican or at the Democratic Party. It's hilarious. The game, in the immortal words of Donald Trump, has been rigged. It is not possible for the Democratic Party to win elections because the Republican Party has decided it won't recognize Democratic victories. The only wins that are legitimate are Republican wins. When you come out on Time magazine on the cover And you talk about how a group of billionaires and corrupt labor leaders fortified the election, securing it for Joe Biden. It may lead one to believe that our elections are less than free and fair. She goes on to like criticize the audit in Arizona for the dumbest fucking possible point, because the whole reason the audit existed, she cites the fact that Republicans won the Senate and House seats, that Republicans lost the presidential contest between Biden and Trump in the largest county in Arizona. And so they said, that's weird, because if the down ballot races are all going the direction of Republicans, you don't normally see a voter who will vote the opposite ticket for president and then Republican down the line. This appears to be an anomaly. We would like to see an audit. Every time something like this happens, of course, it's partisan. But what it also does, whether inadvertently or not, is it lets other people see behind the curtain. Holy shit! This is a farce. Talking about the othering of Obama, Tucker Carlson's replacement theory. Okay, this is what I mean when I say that Republicans have already seceded. They're a white party, and they're forming a white country with white laws and white companies and white jobs where white votes count and others don't. This is the most hyperbolic garbage that I've read in a minute. They can live in states that compromise the country, but they can't survive there without our money. I would, again, argue that the way that the federal government has set up regulations and tax codes and all of that shit has incentivized this exact structure, that crony corporatism and overregulation have produced the imbalance between federal money being generated from giant population centers where people are taxable and having it sent to population centers that are much more spread out. It's kind of, I don't know. What do you think about the argument for 2 seconds? It makes you want to choke somebody because it's just so fucking disingenuous. I'm awake. I promise. We got here. Okay. Well, that's all that article's going to give me. Let's go back over here for a minute. I have never read Mean Magazine. Not that I could remember. You know what, to be perfectly honest with you, man, I haven't seen the last like old style. Are you talking about like the outdoor newsstand, or are you talking about like a walk-in, you get newspapers, there's every magazine under the sun, there's probably a tobacco counter? Because I think I saw one of those. I think I saw one of those in SAC, but I'm not 100% on that. I am not. Let's go over to Rockfit, see what we got over there. Good morning, everybody. How you guys doing? Kimberly, Edward Medina, Lost in Space, Daniela, Yona, and Nautilus. Oh, is William Shatner actually going? I forgot that was happening. Let's find out. Let's find out. If you don't know, guys, William Shatner in space. What? 90-year-old. Yeah, let's do that story. Who reminded me of that? Nautilus. Thank you very much. We'll do this story right now. Unfortunately, I have no video because, well, my internet connection sucks, and my Tech Ninja was up late putting together the memory hold episode, so I had no expectation of him showing up for this morning. Let's see what we got over here. Maybe I can give you guys some audio. I know for sure the video is not going to play well. Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin is set to launch its New Shepard rocket for the 5th time this year on Wednesday, and Canadian actor William Shatner will join the second crewed spaceflight for the company. Sure. Called NS-18, this New Shepard mission will carry a crew of 4. Shatner, Blue Origin VP of Mission and Flight Operations, Audrey Powers, Planet Labs co-founder Chris Boschhuizen, and Metadata co-founder Glenn DeVries. Liftoff was set for about 45 minutes ago, but local weather and tech issues can delay the launch. Shatner is 90. The record was previously held by aerospace pioneer Wally Funk, who flew at 82 on Blue Origin's first crewed flight in July. That is William Shatner in a goofy blue spacesuit next to people who are all in the prime of their lives, in incredible shape, about ready to go get the same G-forces that most pilots wash out of flight school for. Does anyone believe that the dick rocket is actually going anywhere? I mean, the amount of pressure that the human body is under during liftoff, and the rigorous, for like the way that the fucking atmospheric pressure pushes down, this gives people in fantastic shape the bends. William Shatner is a Pooh Bear. He's a 90-year-old fucking actor stuffed with fluff. There is no way there's no way that rocket is actually taking William Shatner anywhere. This is a fucking production, dude. They're not putting a 90-year-old fucking fat guy in space. They're just not space. Let's be honest. Bezos doesn't go to space. Bezos goes up to the upper atmosphere and pretends it's space. And that's all these guys are ever going to be able to do. This is fucking ridiculous. I really can't believe they're putting fucking Shatner's fucking fat ass into the dick rocket and pretending to shoot him up there. There's just no fucking way. But yeah, anyway, thank you, Nautilus. I totally forgot that thing was even happening or existing. Let's see. Let's go. At this point, I do have it up. Never mind. Get rid of you. And you. The too many tabs open thing fucks me up too. I'm not going to read that. That was garbage anyway. Let's see. And you're done. So let's go back over to you. This is what happens when I don't have a tech guy, by the way. Fucking scattered. So our good friend, Whitney Webb, has a brand new article up on Unlimited Hangout, which is her website. If you have not or are not, you should at least join the Telegram group and get up on somebody's rock fin so that you can watch the interviews early. You can get the articles early. It's it's a good idea, and it's a good way to support Whitney, who fucking could use a hand right now. So a project, the title is Wall Street's Takeover of Nature. advances with new launch of new asset class, project of multilateral development banking system. The Rockefeller Foundation, the New York Stock Exchange recently created a new asset class that will put not just the natural world, but the processes underpinning all life up for sale under the guise of promoting sustainability. Last night I was crashing out and I was listening to James Lindsay give a lecture on his channel, New Discourses, about sustainability. I would very much recommend that you guys go over to the New Discourses YouTube channel and take a listen to that lecture. He goes in pretty hard on Herbert and Robert Marcuse, as I think people should, honestly. You can look at Marcuse as kind of the modern godfather or forerunner of all this bullshit, tyrannical, woke nonsense. So let's go over to Whitney's article. Last month, the New York Stock Exchange. Here, I'll make this a little bit bigger for you guys. I can barely see that shit. There we go. Last month, the New York Stock Exchange announced it had developed a new asset class, an accompanying listing vehicle meant to preserve and restore the natural assets that ultimately underpin the ability for there to be life on Earth. Called a Natural Asset Company, or NAC, the vehicle will allow for the formation of specialized corporations that hold the rights to the ecosystem services produced on a given chunk of land, services like carbon sequestration or clean water. These NACs will then maintain, manage, and grow the natural assets they commodify. Again, clean water or carbon sequestration, with the end goal of maximizing the aspects of that natural asset that are deemed by the company to be profitable. This sounds horrific. Though described as acting like any other entity on the New York Stock Exchange, it's alleged that NACS will use the funds to help preserve a rainforest or undertake other conservation efforts like changing a farm's conventional agricultural production practices. Timeout. Yet, as explained towards the end of this article, even the creators of NACS admit that the ultimate goal is to extract near infinite profits from the natural processes they seek to quantify and then monetize. New York Stock Exchange Chief Operations Officer Michael Blagren alluded to this when he said the following regarding the launch of NACS. Our hope is that owning a natural asset company is going to be a way that increasingly broad range of investors have the ability to invest in something that's intrinsically valuable, but up to this point was really excluded from the financial markets. Yeah, things like clean water excluded from financial markets because when you commodify water, you're taking one of the fundamental building blocks of life, assessing a dollar amount to it, and putting both that dollar amount and the control of and regulation of that resource into the hands of a broken fucking federal government. That doesn't seem very pleasant. Framed with the lofty talk of sustainability and conservation, media reports on the move on outlets like Fortune couldn't avoid noting that NACS opened the doors to a new form of sustainable investment, which has enthralled the likes of BlackRock CEO Larry Fink over the past several years, even though there remain big unanswered questions about it. Fink, one of the world's most powerful financial oligarchs, is and has long been a corporate raider, not an environmentalist, and his excitement about NACS should give even its most enthusiastic proponents pause if this endeavor was really about advancing conservation, as it is claimed. By the way, guys, if you have any questions or anything like that, please do throw them in the chat. I never did any of the housekeeping shit. I'll do that when we get through this article. The creation and launch of NACS has been 2 years in the making and saw New York Stock Exchange team up with the Intrinsic Exchange Group, in which the NYSE itself holds a minority stake. Convenient. IEG's three investors are the Inter-American Development Bank, the Latin American-focused branch of the multilateral development banking system that imposes neoliberal and neocolonialist agendas through debt entrapment, the Rockefeller Foundation, the foundation of the American oligarchy dynasty, whose activities have long been tightly enmeshed with Wall Street, and Aberdare Ventures, a venture capital firm chiefly focused on the digital healthcare space. Notably, the IADB and the Rockefeller Foundation are closely tied to the related pushes for central bank digital currencies and biometric digital IDs. The IEG's mission focuses on pioneering a new asset class based on natural assets and the mechanism to convert them to financial capital. These assets, IEG states, make life on Earth possible and enjoyable. They include biological systems that provide clean air, water, foods, medicines, a stable climate, human health, and societal potential. So why not throw them on the stock exchange where people can gamble with the building blocks of life? Where a corporate raider like BlackRock's Larry Fink can leverage the system to effectively own all of the clean water on the planet. Remember, like a decade ago, when the CEO from Nestle came out and said that water is not a human right, and everybody was like, holy fuck, this guy's a monster, and then went on with their business. The fact that nobody drugged that dude out of his house and strung him up by his toes is what is allowing for this shit. We make that perfectly clear. The lack of walking into the homes of oligarchs, removing them, and making them public displays for their pitiful behavior is driving this sort of shit. Put differently, NACS will not only allow ecosystems to become financial assets, but the rights to ecosystem services, or the benefits people receive from nature as well. These include food production, tourism, clean water, biodiversity, pollination, carbon sequestration, and much more. IEG is currently partnering with Costa Rica's government to pilot its NAC efforts within that country. Fuck. Costa Rica's Minister of Environment and Energy, Andrea Meza Murillo, has claimed that the pilot project with IED will deepen the economic analysis of giving nature its economic value, as well as to continue mobilizing financial flows to conservation. With NACS, the New York Stock Exchange and IEG are now putting the totality of nature up for sale, while they assert that doing so will transform our economy to one that is more equitable. Whenever you hear the word equity, that's a big red flag that means somebody in the state is fucking you. Resilient and sustainable. It's clear that becoming owners of nature and natural processes will be the only real beneficiaries. Per IEG, NACS first begin with the identification of a natural asset, such as a forest or a lake, which is then quantified using specific protocols. Such protocols have already been developed by related groups like Capital's Coalition, which has partnered with several of IEG's partners, as well as the World Economic Forum and various coalitions of multinational demons, corporations, either way. Then a NAC is created, and the structure of the company decides who has the rights to that natural asset's productivity, as well as the rights to decide how that natural asset is managed and governed. Lastly, a NAC is converted into financial capital by launching an initial public offering on a stock exchange like the New York Stock Exchange. This last stage generates capital to manage the natural asset, and the fluctuation of its price on the stock exchange signals the value of its natural capital. Y'all. However, the NAC and its employees, directors, and owners are not necessarily the owners of the natural asset itself following this final step. Instead, as the IEG notes, the NAC is merely the issuer, while the potential buyers of the natural asset or the NAC represents can include institutional investors, private investors, individuals and institutions, corporations, sovereign wealth funds, and multilateral development banks. Thus, asset management firms that essentially already own much of the world, like BlackRock, could become owners of soon-to-be monetized natural processes, natural resources, and the very foundations of natural life itself, both the NYSE and IEG have marketed this new investment vehicle as being aimed at generating funds that will go back to conservation or sustainability efforts. However, on the IEG's website, it notes that the goal is really endless profit from natural processes and ecosystems that were previously deemed to be part of the commons, i.e. cultural and natural resources accessible to all members of society, including natural materials such as air, water, and habitable earth. Per the IEG, as the natural asset prospers, providing a steady or increasing flow of ecosystem services, the company's equity should appreciate accordingly, providing investment returns. Shareholders and investors in the company through secondary offers can take profit by shelling shares. These sales can be gauged to reflect the increase in the capital value of the stock, roughly in line with its profitability, creating cash flow based on the health of the company and its assets. You guys, I have no idea what the fuck I just read. I no clue. A little secret between us, I actually kind of do that Anchorman shit where like I have no retention of what it is that I just said that I read on the screen, and you could quite literally put some shit on the screen in front of me. If it was stuck in the middle of the article, I would probably read it and keep going. Although I do kind of editorialize along the way. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not going to suggest anyone like try to find out. Researcher and journalist and friend of the show, Corey Morningstar, has strongly disagreed with the approach being taken by NYSE and IEG and views NACS as a system that will only exacerbate the corporate predation of nature and claims to the contrary. Despite claims to the contrary, Morningstar has described NACS as Rockefeller et al., letting the markets dictate what in nature has value and what does not. Yet it's not for capitalist institutions and global finance to decide what life has value. Ecosystems are not assets. Biological communities exist for their own purposes, not ours. The ultimate goal of NACS is not sustainability or conservation. It's the financialization of nature, turning nature into a commodity that can be used to keep the current corrupt Wall Street economy booming under the guise of protecting the environment and preventing its further degradation. Indeed, IEG makes this clear when they note that the opportunity of NACS lies not in their potential to improve environmental well-being or sustainability, but in the size of this new asset class, which they term nature's economy. Did you know, you guys, nature is worth $400 trillion.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. The goods and services nature can offer us are worth 125 trillion.
That's awesome. And I hear that, you know, some smart people get to be in charge of that.
The asset and value at the $400 trillion of nature is, what is that? 8 times more than the traditional economy. It's worth 8 times more than the traditional economy.
Well, sure.
Nature's rich. We need to tax that shit.
According to Corey Morningstar, one of the other aims at creating nature's economy and neatly packaging it for Wall Street via NACS is to drastically advance massive land grab efforts made by Wall Street and the oligarch class in the recent years. This includes recent land grabs made by Wall Street firms as well as billionaire philanthropists like Bill Gates during the COVID crisis. However, the land grabs facilitated through the development of NACS will largely target indigenous communities in the developing world. Back to Corey. The public launch of NACS strategically preceded the 15th meeting of the Conference of the Parties to the Convention on Biological Diversity, the biggest biodiversity conference in a decade. Under the pretext of turning 30% of the globe into protected areas, the largest global land grab in history is underway. Built on a foundation of total supremacy, this proposal will displace hundreds of millions, furthering the ongoing genocide of indigenous peoples. The tragic irony is this: while indigenous peoples represent less than 5% of the global population, they support approximately 80% of all of its biodiversity. IEG, in discussing NACS, tellingly notes that proceeds from a NACS IPO can be used for the acquisition of more land by its controlling entities or used to boost the budgets or funds of those who receive capital from the IPO. It was a far cry from the NYSE IEG sales pitch, the NACs are different because their IPOs will be used to preserve and protect natural areas. Right. By preserve and protect, we mean buy more and surround it with like Tiger Swan or some other private military contractor. The climate change panic that is now rising to take the place of the COVID-19 panic will surely be used to savvily market NACs and similar tactics as necessary to save the planet. But rest assured, NACs are not a move to save the planet, but a move to enable the same interests responsible for the current environmental crises to usher in a new era where their predatory exploitation reaches new heights that were previously unimaginable. Holy fuck. They're yo, like that's fucking. Y'all, I need a minute. Hi, we're Soulless Corporation. Nice lake you got there. I mean, what the fuck, dude? You know shit like this is going to happen. You grow up reading science fiction. At some point in science fiction, the narrative switches from evil overlord government running the New World Order to evil overlord corporation running the New World Order. And when that shift in the science fiction narrative happened, I think it was more reactionary. I think it was because authors were looking around at the world and going, yeah, no, it probably isn't going to be the governments that survive. It's probably going to be ruled by corporation. This brings us kind of back around to the opening topic on national divorce. Right? Because we've been joking for a while that it looks like they're getting ready to set up Hunger Games districts and shit like that. If they go create natural resource zones and shit like that to where, okay, this is the freshwater district now. This is where primarily we're going to be harvesting all of the fresh water, then shipping it through electric vehicle to fucking, drone supply warehouse to have it flown to whatever little fucking pod you live in. Alice Skull brings up a good point here. Through the 90s, most people were talking about corporatocracy and not fascism. And I agree. Here's where, you guys, 9/11 fucking broke everything, right? We had to, because of the narrative, because of the never-ending stream of propaganda, because of all of these things, we were sort of forced to not drop, but shift. Kind of what we were screaming about to, holy fuck, we're in the middle of a bunch of illegal wars now. Hey, while these corporations are taking over the world, we're illegally fucking bombing the shit out of all kinds of people. And it sort of flipped. We had a decade where we were bitching about corporations, and we had a decade where a handful of us at least were screaming about the Bush regime. Then Occupy happened, of course, as a result of a financial collapse. But because of the way that Occupy was crushed, most of the people who were out in the streets during Occupy all went and worked for one of those corporations. Or a fucking startup that got eaten up by one of those corporations. Like, you don't get to resist the system by drawing 100% of your pay from it. if you can't figure out your own gray market or, satellite economy or something like that, reach out to people in your community. And if the only thing that you know how to do is code, get a hobby. Like, I'm not even kidding. I'm not. Automation is coming. Like, there's a whole bunch of shit that's coming down the pipe. And if the only skill that you've been taught is how to manipulate things on a computer, it's probably time to develop a couple of new skills. Like, if you're at all interested in subverting a system, you're going to have to be able to do more things than you normally do. You're going to have to take an interest in things that you may not necessarily have thought about. I don't have any, nice ways to say that shit. I think at this point, for about the last 20 minutes of the show, we're going to go ahead and kick it over to the Rockfin. Going to be talking about Kyrie Irving. Max Blumenthal had a great send-up of Joy Reid over a very, very, I guess a number of very ridiculous things that Joy Reid has been running around saying. I am going to talk about that Mint Press article that exposes heavy influence by the United Arab Emirates in the last presidential administration. It's fucking weird, dude. 4 years of screaming about Russiagate, and the fucking oil barons are fucking calling the shots. Whoever would have guessed that? So at this point, we're going to go ahead and oh wait, I need to drop the Rockfin link in the YouTube chat first. That's what I need to do. Come on, fucker. There you are. If you're watching us on YouTube, why? They censor us. They remove our videos. They give us channel strikes for all kinds of weird shit. It's fucked up. Before I do, though, by the way, show is sponsored by Matrix Bars. Matrix Bars are 3.5 grams of psilocybin mushrooms in a delicious bar of chocolate. Hi, Gomez. Hi, buddy. Hi. Okay.
Come on, buddy.
I definitely recommend the Matrix Bars. They do. They come in 3 flavors. You can scan the QR code at the top corner of the screen, or you can hit them up on Twitter and Instagram at Matrix Genetics, MATRAX GENETIX. Go down that rabbit hole. It'll be good for you. The show is entirely viewer supported. I got my bank account hacked. I had to shut off my bank account. Well, I had to wait till Tuesday because nobody was open on Monday because it was the fucking Columbus Day or Indigenous Peoples Day or whatever day you want to celebrate on October 12th. You pick a theme. Pick a theme. Dress like that theme for the entire day. If anybody asks you, be like, I'm was in opposition to both Christopher Columbus and woke culture, because I have very rarely seen actual Indigenous people out in front for Indigenous Peoples Day. It's usually like a 270-pound Karen. The United States embarked on one of the most brutal campaigns of native genocide in fucking history upon settling this country. I believe that everybody knows that. I believe that. I don't see how you couldn't. But the United States has never really addressed it, and nobody's ever really moved forward from it. We just sort of shoved natives onto the shittiest possible land we could find and went on our way. I don't know how to fix that, y'all. I don't. I was born in 1978. It's a weird old world. So while I'm trying to sort out my personal finances, there are a couple of things that you guys can do if you would like to support the show. You still can hit us up at Slow News Day Show through Cash App, PayPal, and Venmo. Oh, my Venmo is my name, Steve Poikinen. Sleepy Josh still has his Buy Me a Coffee up, and that's buymeacoffee.com/Bort, B-O-R-T. Sleepy's account was obviously not hacked, but I don't get to pay Sleepy until I sort this bank shit out. Yeah, it's a fucking mess, man. It's a fucking mess. I'm 8 hours away from my old bank. I've got fucked up shit going on with my I need to dump like $1,500 in my truck. It's gonna be a weird winter. It is. At any rate, I should probably drop the Rockfin link in the YouTube chat one more time. I've been rambling for a little bit. We're gonna finish the show over on the Rockfin where we can speak freely. Yes, Cat, Lake Shasta is dry. Tahoe is way low. Mendocino Lake is a fucking puddle. Is bad. Check us out over on the Rockfin where they do not censor our speech. You don't need an account to watch the stream. You just need to click a link. If you want to participate in the chat, you can make a free Rockfin account. If you love what we do, you can endorse the channel for $9.99 a month. It gives you all of the paywalled content on the network. You get our memory hold episodes early and in full. And I'd look for a brand new memory hold tomorrow with the big homie Ryan Christian from The Last American Vagabond. With that, we will see you.